I shouldn't be alive to tell this. That house, it never wanted to be touched, let alone cleaned. The first time the mop hit the floor, I heard something breathe beneath the wood. Not creak, breathe. They paid me double because no one else would take the job. A Victorian ruin on the edge of a dead town, untouched since 1978. No electricity, no running water, just dust thick enough to choke on, and the smell, like wet soil, rust, and something rotting behind the walls. I don't even know how long I was inside. Time bent, mirrors lied, and something in that house watched me clean, room by room, like it was waiting for me to find it. If you're watching this, please, don't pick up the mop. Not there. Not ever. They told me it would be a simple job. Old place. No plumbing. No electricity. Just clear out the dust, sweep the floors, and refresh the space. The kind of property you see in old family court disputes. Inherited by someone who doesn't want it. Too cheap to tear down. Too cursed to sell. The pay? Triple my normal rate. The warning? One line, printed in red ink on the bottom of the contract. Do not enter the mirror room. I should have asked more questions. The house sat alone at the end of a dirt road, surrounded by fields that hadn't been farmed in decades. The trees leaned toward it, as if whispering secrets behind their bark. The windows were all boarded shut. The front door was already ajar. Inside it smelled like rot and something older, like mildew had grown a memory. I stepped into the foyer and the door closed on its own. Not slammed, just shut. Softly, like the house was sealing itself again. The floors groaned under my boots, not like normal wood creaks. No, these groaned like they were in pain. First room to the left, a sitting room. Dust coated every surface like frost. Old portraits lined the walls, faces blurred from time or intentional damage. Some had the eyes scratched out, some had no faces at all. I set my tools down, pulled on gloves, and started wiping. The second my rag touched the mantle, I heard something behind me shift. Not a creak, a step. I turned. Nothing. Just a tall, cracked mirror in the hallway. I walked up to it. My reflection stared back. Same posture, same scowl, same tired eyes. But something was wrong. I blinked. He didn't. I reached out to touch the glass. He smiled. I didn't. I turned away quickly, my heart racing. It was the first time I thought, maybe this house doesn't want to be cleaned. I forced myself to ignore the mirror. Maybe it was stress. Maybe it was the lighting. If you could call the filthy streaks of grey sunlight filtering through boarded windows lighting. I'd been on worse jobs. That's what I told myself. But this wasn't just filthy. It was deliberate. Cobwebs formed patterns, not random strands. Dirt collected only in circles, spiraling like something had spun from the center outward. Furniture had been pushed aside, not violently, but with precision, like someone cleaned this place once, then tried to erase it. I started with the parlor. Dust was ankle deep in some places. I swept for 10 minutes and made zero progress. The dust floated back, thick as smoke, clogging my lungs. I coughed so hard my eyes watered. That's when I heard it, a whisper from the sink drain, faint, childlike. I leaned in, unsure if I'd imagined it. It spoke again, mimicking my coughing. I backed away and nearly tripped over a stool that hadn't been behind me seconds earlier. My hands were shaking. I told myself I just needed to finish one room, just one. So I grabbed the mop, filled the bucket with water from the jug I'd brought, and got to work. As soon as the wet mop touched the floorboards, the air in the room shifted, like the house inhaled. The dust vanished, not swept, not cleaned, gone, as if the house had sucked it deep into its walls, and with it, a part of me. I felt lightheaded, my ears rang, my skin began to itch. I scratched my arms raw, but found nothing there, just the unsettling sense that my skin wasn't mine anymore, like I was wearing it wrong. I moved on to the bathroom. The mirror above the sink was shattered, but not recently. The cracks were too perfect, spiderwebs frozen in glass. As I scrubbed the sink basin, my reflection shimmered faintly. It was delayed by a second, maybe two. I lifted the sponge. My reflection held it a moment longer. I blinked. It didn't. And then, it smiled. Not wide, not cartoonish, just enough to be off. I froze. The lights flickered. Impossible, since there was no power. And I heard footsteps on the ceiling. Software barefoot, pacing directly above me. But I hadn't been upstairs yet. I looked up, heart thudding, and the footsteps stopped. I wasn't supposed to go upstairs. The contract was clear. Do not enter the mirror room. But when the footsteps stopped, I needed to know. I needed to prove it was all in my head, that the whispers, the reflections, the rot under my skin were tricks of exhaustion. The staircase groaned with each step, but not in decay, in resistance, like the house itself was asking me to turn back. The second floor was colder, not drafty, cold, like stepping into a morgue. There were 4 doors. 3 of them were sealed shut with rusted nails. The 4th had no knob, just a slit of darkness where a handle used to be. Something inside that door breathed. I pushed it open. Inside was the mirror room. No lights, just natural grey from a gap in the boarded window, casting fractured beams onto the floor. And everywhere, mirrors, wall to wall. Different shapes, sizes, eras. Some stood tall like sentinels. Others hung crooked, barely clinging to hooks. Each was covered in a faded white sheet. I should have turned around, but I didn't. I stepped inside. My boots crunched over broken glass. The moment my foot crossed the threshold, the door behind me clicked shut, and one of the sheets slipped off. I froze. The mirror underneath didn't show me. It showed the parlor, empty, except for someone mopping the floor. Me, only. My body was slumped over, unmoving. Another sheet dropped. This mirror showed the kitchen, but it was clean, impossibly clean. Every surface gleamed, but my reflection was scrubbing the walls with bare hands, knuckles bleeding. More sheets fell. Each mirror showed a different version of me, distorted, decaying, cleaning endlessly, like the act itself was a punishment. One of them turned, stared right at me, and whispered something I couldn't hear but felt deep in my chest. I backed away, heart racing, when one mirror, tall and gold-framed, shifted. It didn't show a room. It showed me, here and now, except there was someone behind me. Not a shadow, not a trick of light. A man, pale, thin, eyes like cracked porcelain, smiling wide, impossibly wide, as he reached toward my shoulder. I spun. Nothing. But the mirror still showed his hand resting gently on my shoulder, and it was still smiling. I tried the door. Locked. No. Gone. The knob was no longer there. Just smooth wood, seamless, like it had never existed. I screamed. No one answered. Not even the echoes. I pounded the wall until my fists ached, and the mirrors, they watched. The glass trembled softly, like breathing lungs holding in laughter. One of them changed. It no longer showed the room. It showed me. Except I was outside the house, running, screaming, bleeding from my eyes. I stumbled back, clutching my chest. I couldn't breathe. The air was thick, not with dust, but with weight. like something massive and invisible was pressing down on me. Then I heard it. My voice, coming from the other side of the wall, repeating the same words I just said, but slower, as if someone was learning my speech, syllable by syllable. I pressed my ear to the wall. Please, let me out. A perfect echo. Then, please, let me in. I fell backward. I needed to get out. I ran. The upstairs hallway had changed. It was longer. The nailed shut doors were now open, revealing nothing. Just blackness, like the rooms had been hollowed out, devoured. I ran down the stairs, but they stretched, step after step after step, until my legs burned and the ground never came. And then, suddenly, I was at the bottom. The living room was gone, replaced with a hallway of mirrors, endless, stretching in all directions like a maze of myself. I turned, and every reflection lagged. My skin looked wrong, loose, wet, pale. I touched my face and felt something soft peel beneath my fingers, as if my skin was being unstitched. No blood, just emptiness. The house wasn't being cleaned. I was. Something inside the walls moved. A slithering wet sound, like soap sliding across bone. I turned toward one of the mirrors, and my reflection stepped forward without me. He raised his hand. I did not. He touched the glass and whispered, "Now it's my turn." Then he smiled. The reflection stepped through the mirror, not with force, with ease, like the glass had been water all along. He wore my face, but newer, cleaner, like I was just a rough draft of him. He stared at me, blinking in sync now, smiling that perfect smile, and whispered again, "Time to finish what you started." I tried to run, but the floor moved beneath me. It wasn't wood anymore. It was flesh, pulsing, beating like a heart. I slipped on something slick, my own sweat, my blood, number soap. The smell overwhelmed me, not chemical, organic, like bleach and meat. I crawled toward the door that once led outside. It was back. The knob was there. I grabbed it with everything I had. It turned, and behind me, every mirror screamed. Not voices, faces, dozens of them, hundreds, men, women, children, twisting, pressed against the glass, mouths wide open but silent, each one holding a mop, a rag, a bucket. Cleaners, just like me. I opened the door and stepped into the mirror room. Again, the house had looped me. I wasn't leaving, not ever. I dropped to my knees and laughed, hysterical, broken. My fingers bled. My teeth ached. My skin itched from the inside out. One final mirror sat in the center now, tall and black like obsidian. I crawled toward it, unable to stop myself, and I saw them. A circle of figures in red robes, centuries old, cultists, priests of the unblemished one, cleansing souls not with fire or prayer, but through reflection. They believed that by removing a person's image, their essence, they could purify the body, leave it hollow, clean. The house was their temple, and the mirrors were cages. My face began to fade in the glass, slowly, hair first, then skin tone, then eyes, until nothing was left but a blank reflection. And I knew I was inside now. The door opened behind me. A man stepped in. Janitor's uniform, young, tired, carrying a mop. He looked confused, just like I had. And as he stepped forward, I raised my hand from inside the glass, smiling, welcoming him.